Castro, questions for student athletes. Who wants to lead us off?
Right, just what did you think kind of happened defensively with them getting loose for as many plays as they did, especially in the second half?
Yeah, first, actually, I just want to thank my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, allowing everybody to be out there, be healthy enough to go win that game, or play that game, I should say. But yeah, I think it was just, slight mistakes, things that we talked about, which is a little bit more frustrating. We knew that if they, not just them, they're a great team, but if anyone gets open shots, it's going to be hard to, win. I'm pretty sure they shot like 50% in the second half, so that's just, it's not going to be able to cut it. Either way, like if we would have shot 50%, I'm sure it would have been different results. So just little things that, just come through repetition, mental toughness, being able to mentally prepare and lock in. Little slippage can happen, and when little slippage happens, you can pay for it.
Question for Raphael. You guys jumped on him early, turned him over, I think, 5 times in the first 4 minutes. What was the focus early on that was working for you guys defensively?
I say just really setting the tone and going at him. I feel like in the first half we was killing them on boards, and like kind of going off what Trey said, that slipped a little bit. But in the first half, it was definitely there.
And then Trey, you had I think 18 of your 23 in the second half. What was working for you? What were you able to take advantage of?
I was just being able to take advantage of my teammates. Slim, he's been having an amazing year, putting up crazy numbers. So when you have to key in that much on an elite post present, it makes it easier for the guys on the perimeter. And then we had, guys step up in every single way. Just being able to find me, little windows where I can get a shot off. And, God was on my side today. So, a few of them went in.
It's for either one of you. It seems like last few games had a lot of late game situations, been unable to close against these top tier teams in the conference. What do you think's been, I guess, like the reason, or what do you feel like you could adjust moving forward to kind of be able to close these late games?
I say moving forward, just limiting the mental mistakes. Physical mistakes that'll happen throughout the game, but just the mental mistakes we gotta key in and really lock in and get connected.
You're good. Go ahead.
Okay. For those who watched the game last year when you guys faced VCU, it was kind of horrendous at the scores of what we did last year. We were trailing by them by 2 points. It was 33-35. Then in this first half, it was 35-36. Did you guys talk about that with your team about like how the scores were very identical to last year's? And what do you think went wrong in terms of like beating VCU this year?
Well, I was a part of the team last year, and we didn't really talk about this game in particular, but every single day we say, every single game is going to be 1 to 2 possessions. No matter who the opponent is, you could be playing the number 1 team, you could be playing the 15th team in this conference. The conference is so competitive, so every single game is just going to be close. And just like we said, those mental errors, mental slippage, knowing personnel, just mental things.
Trey, you're shooting just under 50% from 3 at home. Can you just talk about, besides the environment, what it is about being at home that, allows you to contribute on the court?
I would just say that goes to, the hard work, coming in, extra hours, just making sure my shot feels good, staying sharp, the crowd, all the fans, the people around. I have family members in here, they always give me that confidence and that boost. But, I would just say continuing to, get my reps in.
Alex, for Trey, you were just saying how it's tough to play teams at the top of this conference, tough to play teams at the bottom of this conference. When you do play a team that's so high in the conference, like VCU, and you guys have that early lead, you go toe-to-toe with them, what do you take away from a game like this, especially when you're getting so close to March, and what you guys are doing right, but where you guys need to get to?
Yeah, I think we take away the joy of it, everyone in our locker room is competitors. I'm sure it's the same way on the other team, so just being able to compete in a conference like this where, if you stay intact with the conference, it's really anyone's league. Like you said, we've beaten some of the top teams. We've lost to, some of the bottom teams, and that goes around for a lot of teams in the league. So just taking away the joy and the fun of it, not losing the fun of this basketball game. We all play this because we love it at the end of the day, win, lose, or draw. So just being able to take the fun out of it, the joy out of it, but also being able to, lock in mentally, like I said. Yeah.
And just to follow up, what were the emotions like after this game when you guys got together in the locker room? What kind of was said amongst you guys?
Honestly, we just, games like these, they're tough, they're frustrating when you play really hard and, when you have a good shot, good opportunity to, prove yourself in the league where teams probably don't think you guys are that good. It definitely hurts, but, You know, we have this saying, just don't matter, get better. Win, lose, or draw, it doesn't really matter. We just got to focus on, you know, these next 2 days of preparation, go into Davidson, try to get a win.
This is for both of you guys, but 6 games left in the regular season before the conference tournament. I like how you guys have been saying today, a lot of up and down results throughout the season so far. How do you guys feel about, you know, where you are as a team right now? If there's anything you guys are sort of working on down the final stretch of the season?
Yeah, I think everyone in the locker room is very confident. You know, like you guys have said, all these games have been 1 possession, 2 possession. Sometimes the final score doesn't predict or doesn't really depict what really happened. I think we all feel very confident knowing that, you know, when we come with our energy and with our mental focus and our intensity, you know, there's nobody in, I'll say that I don't think there's anyone really in the country that can, you know, go toe-to-toe with us. So I think we feel good.
One more? Go ahead.
This is for Raphael, but as you might already know, you're leading the conference in double-doubles, and even though you didn't manage to get one tonight, you're 2 double-doubles away from tying GW's record for most double-doubles in the season. So what does that mean, like, for you coming in like this season and dominating the way you have?
It's definitely a great feeling. I actually didn't know that, but I always give praise to my teammates for finding me and making the plays and me just finishing them. But I didn't know that, so that's a good thing to keep in mind.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Yeah, of course. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm so sorry.
No, he's coming in.
Yeah, no, yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yes, yes.
It looked fine.
All right, we'll start with an opening statement for Coach and then questions.
Yeah, I thought, you know, really good game for most of the night. Got to credit VCU. I mean, sometimes people just play well. They shoot the ball well. I thought our guys kind of set the tone of the game, and I was proud of them there. We had trouble finishing near the basket to start second half. But again, that's a credit to them. They block shots. They're obviously a really good veteran team, well-coached team. Team filled with, you know, skillful players, you know, guys who can pass, dribble, and shoot, have size for their position. They're in their 5th and 6th years of school. They're good, you know, and so we had our chances. And, you know, again, I thought, you know, good credit to them. They had a great day. You know, normally if they make 14 threes, you know, they've beat teams by big numbers. And I thought, you know, we hung in there and really kind of stood toe to toe, and that's encouraging for us. There's no moral victories. You need some of these wins, obviously, down the stretch as you start thinking about seeding, and we're playing for a lot, you know, for our program. So, you know, there's many of those you can get. We want to get down the stretch, but just you know, I think very good performance by them. They deserve the credit.
Questions, Patrick? Chris, you mentioned how old so many of those guys.
Mm-hmm.
Did you feel like those last 10 to 12 minutes were kind of reflective of a team that's a bit older?
Yeah, I mean, look, they're good. They're not just old; they're good. And like everyone in this league, they're well coached. And so, I did look up one time down the stretch when we needed to stop, and I was like, my group, I was like, freshman, sophomore, junior, and Slim, who's a 4th-year guy. So okay, he's old. And then I looked at their team, and I go, oh yeah, 6th year. 5th year, 6th year, 5th, you know, they're just a bit, they're a team like, you know, again, many of my teams were at Miami when we were really older, and even our team, my first year here, and we had an older group, you know, so they're built to have success in the league, you know, that hasn't changed in college basketball. It's always been the case. It's just a little bit on steroids as of late, and then certainly this year with the COVID year and all that.
Dave,
Chris, second half they went on that heater. What was the toughest part about trying to rein them?
I just think their shot making, ability, and it's not, they went away from, just without to get too technical, but like, when people run 5-man pick and rolls and we blitz you and we start flying around, we make it very difficult for teams. They went completely away from that after the first 10 minutes. There were no 5-man pick and rolls, and they just drove it, and then you get into individual, sort of matchups and, trying to find, I thought they did a good job of picking the ball up, then pivoting out and swinging it. And that's what you can do when you have, like, when every guy can pass, dribble, and shoot. You can do that, It's a little bit harder for the ball to ping if there's guys on the floor that, are not going to be guarded on closeouts, But it's just hard with their group. I mean, even Bell threw one in to start the game. Clark and Jackson are not like high volume 3-point shooters, and yet they made a couple tonight. So those are hard. Those are hard when they're making them.
Alex, Coach, you talked about your team playing for a lot down the stretch here, seeding and the
Yeah.
conference tournament coming. What do you hope this team learns from this game specifically tonight in Evansville?
Yeah, I think we're gonna have to watch, but there's certainly some closeout defensive things. There's some have to watch offensively while we got stuck a little bit in the second half. But again, I thought we got the ball to the rim a good bit. More than anything, we got to be able to turn the page. It's a good fight. I told them, we're playing for things, that haven't happened here in 10 years, right? We're trying to get to 20 wins. We're trying to get a good seed in the tournament, trying to have a winning record. That hasn't happened here in quite some time. And we're on track in terms of the opportunity to do those things and to feel like, hey, we can't be on the other side of this, like, man, we've been so close and we should be depressed about this. It's the other way of saying, hey, we're close, and like these opportunities are still in front of us, and we're doing it with a group of less experienced guys, I'd say. So, we got to be able to move on. We'll learn from this, but we have many more good opportunities that are also very difficult ahead of us.
And if I could follow up real quick,
Yeah.
when you talk about the vision and the goals these guys are looking for, when you take them in the locker room after a game like this and look your players in the eyes, what kind of emotions do you see from them in terms of how they're buying in and how they're feeling about what you're talking about?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's disappointment, and as there should be, because there's an expectation that we can win these games. We play Dayton here, we win. We play St. Louis here, we win. I told them before the game, when I got to Miami, people said, well, you can't beat Duke or Carolina. It's a really hard job because you can't beat those people in the ACC. And then we did quite a bit over my time, And people would say the same thing about people coming into the Atlantic 10, that hey, Dayton, you can't beat Dayton. Hey, all the resources, VCU, all the resources, the fan base. And yet, look, we beat Dayton, St. Louis this year. The last time we played VCU, we won. So it's become something here that is expected of our group, and there is a level of disappointment then what comes with that when you don't win, and so you're trying to balance that disappointment with an understanding of we got to learn and grow.
Career high for Trey tonight.
Yeah.
Just what have you thought about tonight, but also just kind of his development?
He's had such a great year. He's had a great attitude. He's really worked hard. I promised him nothing, when the season ended. It's a good lesson, I think, to learn for people that, they want it. Most people, players now, especially in this, hate to be day and age guy, but they want some assurances in life of like, hey, is this going to be, are we going to be really good, and am I going to play all the minutes and all this stuff? And in Trey's case, it's like, hey, we got to the end of the season. I'm like, hey, look, like, here's what you need to do to get better. If you do these things, you're going to have this opportunity. We'll see how that plays out. That's all I can tell you. And he took that and really ran with it with his work ethic and his attitude. And it doesn't always mean it goes perfect, but man, he's really been able to stack those days. And I think it's more to do with his attitude than anything else,
Seems like he had a quick trigger in pulling Christian Jones after the 4-point play over there. And also just in the last few games with turnovers seem to be more, I guess, trusting JaCoy a little more at this point of the season. How do you feel about Christian?
Well, first of all, Christian's had his knees been bothering him a little bit, so that's one thing I was keeping an eye on. And then, it's like what happened when I moved Christian in the starting lineup. It's like, it was never like, okay, it's not this or that. Like we're not. Those guys are not in positions, quite honestly, to be like, hey, we're just going to the next guy. Well, I don't know about you. You know what I mean? Like, so I think Jacoby probably in the same boat as Trey Autry. Really deserves a lot of credit for how he's handled that, and then being able to start to put good games together. You know, which is really it's so much mental than it is physical, and it's on me to get them where they need to go mentally more than physically too. You know, like it's not like some drill or anything like that. You know, we do all the work. It's not that we're not doing the work. It's how you view these things. And so you know, Christian's found a lot of success at times, and then there's other times he's like a freshman. You know, that's is what it is.
Chris, back to Trey, he had 18 of his 23 in the second half. What were you guys able to get going for on there?
Yeah, I mean, fouling some of those threes. I mean, he's been very aggressive and efficient. Again, I thought, man, we had a hard time finishing at the rim, and so we needed to get it from the outside a little bit, and we did with him. And have to go back and watch, but particularly start the second half, we got stuff at the rim that they blocked, and it's hard when you. The other thing is if you don't score at the rim, you put a lot of pressure on your transition then defense. You know, like you know, there's people at the rim, and now you know they're running. So, you know, I think the ways we're able to score with Trey from the 3-point line or getting fouled from the 3-point line, at least, you know, was able to calm their defense, calm their transition offense down a little bit.
Scott, you were saying just a lot of struggles at the rim. You know, it's been a common theme the last few games. VCU with 8 blocks as a team. You know, what do you think is the main reason for, you know, the struggles in attacking to the rim?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's actually been better in the last couple of games. Today kind of reverted back. I don't know. Somebody asked me about this. I don't know, maybe you guys did the other day. Yeah, it's actually been better. It's just, I mean, some of it is like VCU's very long and they block shots, you know. Some of it is, I mean, you look at the makeup of our team, we're not overly big on the wing, and there's going to be times when you have to get in there and you do have to make a play at the rim as a guard, and you know, we do get too many blocked there, but I don't think we've forced so many in the last couple of games, including tonight.
I know we talked yesterday. We talked about kind of the recent conference losses, and besides the UMass games you pointed out, they've all either been within 1 or 2 possessions, or you know, had the lead at some point. In your mind, I know it's a young team and everything, but what does this team need to be able to finish these games?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I don't think it's one thing. Like, there's always different. You know, sometimes it's a little bit of free throw shooting. Sometimes it's you know, I think the younger guards, you know, wind up having to make some really important plays down the stretch because it's hard to manufacture things. We've given ourselves chances, but again, I think you could look at it both ways. Like, you could be maxing out, you know. I'm not saying that we are. I'm just saying, you know, it's not like, well, oh man, they just blown every game. No, some of it is like you're playing against really good teams. You're on the much younger end of the spectrum, and you're basically doing without one of your best players, and you've given yourself a chance, you know, every night. So that, you know, I think could be part of it too. I don't want to pick on those guys at all there. I mean, like I said, we've done it, and we've done it against good teams like we did today. So.
Either one.
So during the first half, you only trailed by 1 point, but at any point during the second half, did you ever feel that it might be hard to see a GW win against VCU this year?
No, I mean, I think they got it to 12, and but there was enough time. We'd been in those situations throughout, so I thought again we gave ourselves a chance to get the game, you know, to 1 possession late. I thought, again, credit VCU, a little bit of shot making there down the stretch, but you know, I think it was 4 we gave up an offensive rebound with whatever 3.5 or something like that to go. So no, the game was it was a very good college basketball game. Yeah.
Going into this game, the Revs outscore opponents on average of about 5 points per game in the second half compared to under 3 in the first half.
Yeah.
But it seemed like tonight it was almost the opposite, where you kept it more competitive in the first half compared to the second. So what's your mindset like with that stat and how the game went tonight?
Yeah, we've kind of been a second half team at times. Yeah, no, again, like I said, we I thought we may have lost a little bit of our defensive edge in the beginning of the second half, combined with not being able to finish some of those plays at the rim. Have to watch. But again, I think I want to give VCU credit for their shot making. As I said, I mean, I think if the games they've made that many threes, they've won by big wide margins. And that was not the case tonight. They made 14 threes, and that's why they won the game. But the game was within reach for us. For obviously most of the game. So.
Last one, David.
I asked Trey this before, but again, 6 games left before the conference tournament. I was just wondering if you think there's anything like you want to see maybe different from you guys in these next few games down the stretch, or just sort of how you're feeling heading into the final stretch of the regular season.
Anything different? No, I mean, there's always different things, right? I mean, I'd like to see better three-point shooting and better free throw shooting. If we could make that happen, that would be great. I think obviously that would really help us. The turnovers were not a problem tonight, which is a good sign. And again, we turned people over. We were able to turn VCU over a fair amount. They don't turn it over that much. We have been turnover prone. VCU turns people over. We did a good job taking care of the ball for the most part tonight. I think that's probably the most important thing for us to go along with the defensive rebounding. That was not a total abomination tonight. It wasn't great, but it wasn't terrible. When you shoot the ball like we have shot the ball, and we, again, shot it better tonight from 3, obviously, but, you have to get shots. So not turning the ball over is really important. And then when you make people miss at the rate that we do, which is at a pretty high rate, you gotta get the defensive rebounds as much as possible. So I think it's pretty clear what we are, and there are on the margins some things that if we can do better, we're in all these close games, maybe we can turn it. And some of that may come with experience, as well, which we're getting.
All right, thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
VC will be here in a second.
Thanks, Coach. Thanks, Coach.